welcome. Welcome. Hi, this is the Mother's Board Inc. This is our launch for this show, the Mother's Board Inc. And I have several ladies who are on the Mother's Board. One is traveling, no, two are traveling today. One has an appointment, and two may join me in just a few, but I'm always prepared. So if there's just me, I have my information. But I just want to let everybody know that we don't only talk religion, we don't only talk the Bible, keep up with the politics, with the current events, with the happenings of the world. We keep up with that. And we do have our opinions, we do have our takes on how things could be better, how they should be better. So this show is expressing that through us, and we have our own opinions, our own points of view. And I am just delighted because this is the debut of the Mother's Board Inc. And I am, as many of you know, Ms. Shirley Polk, aka Shirley Polk Davis. All right. So I'm going to talk about what I'm going to talk about, and then if someone else comes in, we have Lady C, we have Lady L, we have Dr. Mac, we have Overseer D, and and then we have Miss G. She's going to come in, but like I said, some of them are traveling. And so, but I am going to go on with the show because I have so much to talk about. I want to talk about the candidates for the presidency of the United States. I'm going to give you part of my take on that. I want to talk about the terms that of the Senate and the House of Representatives, the terms that people have, and my opinion on how long they should serve. Those things kind of, they come to my mind sometimes. Then also about it seems like it's open season on people of color when it comes to not all. Thank God for our law enforcement. I'm telling you that. But then there's some, just like in every other aspect in life, there's some apples in the barrel that are spoiled and need to be discarded. I'll put it like that. So I'm going to go ahead, and if someone comes in, that would be great. But I want to talk about the requirements of the presidency, what the requirements of the presidency are, and according to the Constitution. And I also wanted to know, can a felon run for the presidency of the United States? And by golly, gee, let me tell you what I found. And this is in verify this.com. Verify this.com. Yes, convicted felons can run for president even if they can't vote. Convicted felons can run for the presidency even if they can't vote. So we see that happening now because we know that one of the candidates, uh, okay, I don't know whether you can hear that or not. Something has come in and it's talking here. Okay. Now, convicted felons can run for president even if they can't vote. On May the 30th, Donald Trump was convicted on 34 felony counts. In some states, a felony makes someone ineligible to vote, but they can still run for president. This is in verifythis.com. They can still run for president. And we see that happening now. And I'm going to read some more of this. And this was updated on May the 30th, 2024. Donald Trump was found guilty on 34 felony counts of falsifying business records. This story has been updated with the latest developments. On May 30th, a jury in New York found former President Donald Trump guilty of falsifying business records in a scheme to illegally influence the 2016 election through hush money payments. Trump is now the first former president to be convicted of felony crimes. The jury came to the guilty verdict on all 34 counts after nearly 10 hours of deliberating. A felony conviction in many states means that a person would be ineligible to vote. A verified viewer wanted to know whether it's possible to be ineligible to vote and be allowed to run for president. So there we have the answer. And the question by that viewer: can convicted felons run for president even if they can't vote? And these sources came from the Constitution, American Civil Liberties Union, National Conference of State Legislators, and Restoration of Rights Project. The answer: yes, convicted felons can run for president even if they can't vote. So we have that verified. Now, I want to talk about the qualifications of running for the presidency. What are the qualifications? And we've done this in school. We have gone over these things, but I want to go over this now because sometimes, like I say on my other shows, some people don't have time to look these up, to do the research from the research has already has been done. They don't have time to look it up. So I like to help out on that, and I like to help out with the facts. And so I want to go here and talk about the qualifications. What are the qualifications for running for president of the United States of America? And I tell you, is anybody, anybody can run. But I have this thing. If it were, I believe, a different situation, a different person of ethnicity, I believe that somehow, some way, there would have been some kind of pop-up law prohibiting that person from running for office. I just believe that someone has popped in. Let me go right there and bring them in. Is that Dr. Mack? It's Dr. Mack. Hello, Dr. Mack. Let me bring you in. Hello, hello, hello.
Well, good afternoon.
Hello, hello. This, this is Dr. Mack. She is one of our mothers, and she is on the Mothers Board Incorporated. So, Dr. Mack, I am talking about the presidency, and I talked about there was a question that I verified. I went to verify.com and to ask if a felon can run for president of the United States. And of course, the answer is yes. And even though they might not be eligible to vote, they still can run for the presidency of the United States of America. And that is troubling to me, even though I already knew it. But then I also commented that if it were, I believe it because it's happened so many times before. If it were a person of color, of another ethnic persuasion, then somehow some law would have probably come to prevent them from running for president of the United States. I really believe that because it's not only happened one time, it's happened so many times before. So that's what I was on then. And so now what so you could give, if you'd like to pop in on that.
well, 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 I am happy to be with you. I'm associated with Lighthouse Women Ministries Association of America, LWMAA, because the the formal title is such a long mouthful. But with reference to your comment there, um, I understand where you are regarding the political realm, um, and I wouldn't want to switch that. But for me, the ageism thing is big with running for the. I mean, let's just call this what it is. The thing,
Okay,
okay, if you don't look like the version of Ken, then you know you're not popular.
her camera is going in and out. Okay, Dr. Mack, can you hear me? I don't hear you now. But yes, we are. The age is included in this section right here. So you're right on point talking about the age. So if you can get your mic, try your mic now.
Connected UV camera, connected communication.
Okay, I hear you now, but I don't see you now.
Okay, all right. Um, but just I would focus on ageism and just give me a few moments, and I'll be back. See what I can do on my end if it's something here. Okay.
Okay,
All
okay.
right.
And so what I'm talking about, and age is in there. That's included with the presidency. And what do you think about the candidates and all of that? So I'm going to go here and I'm going to continue to talk about uh, the qualifications, constitutional requirements for presidential candidates. Uh, Candidates for president of the United States must meet basic requirements. And we're going to learn about the criteria to run for the president. The U.S. Constitution states that the president must, and there are three checks here. The president must be a natural born citizen of the United States. Next, must be at least 35 years old. And the next requirement is have been a resident of the United States for 14 years. Anyone who meets these requirements can declare their candidacy for president. Once a candidate raises or spends more than $5,000 for their campaign, they must register with the Federal Election Commission. That includes having a principal campaign committee to raise and spend campaign funds. So those are the requirements to run and be for president of the United States of America. And so, and we were going to, the age is included in our discussion. And so, uh, Dr. Mack, you're back now, so go right ahead.
I'm back. I can answer. Let's see. It keeps turning on and off.
Oh, okay. She's getting it up, but I see you.
Let me do this.
Okay. Her son is getting her set up. So I will go back to that. So we've seen so many things happen. We've seen so many things happen with a particular person that's running for president. Things that would have more than likely landed a person, another person in the penitentiary. And we know that, we've seen it from experience, but all kinds of corruptible things have gone on, and yet, a person is still allowed to run as a candidate for the presidency of the United States. Out of all that has been admitted, after all that has been done, the convictions and all of that, still allowed. And I feel like when you're in positions of leadership, I know all of us have faults. All of us have done things that we should not have done. Some are still doing things that we should not have done or should not be doing. But when it comes to the standards of leadership, we have to go far above and beyond. We must, we must have and meet the standards that should be required. But when a person can do all kinds of things and then everybody around that person, many of the people around that person end up in the penal institutions and in the jailhouses, and then that person is still just going about doing whatever the person wants to do in any situation. I don't think that's right. It's not right. I'll put it like that because leaders should be held at a higher standard. So, how can you lead in a respected and respectable manner if you haven't upheld a dignified or even a life above the norm? I don't understand it. But anyway, that's where we are today. And so Dr. Mack was talking about the age, and that's in our list. Do you feel like the candidates should continue to be candidates for the presidency, or should they bow out gracefully? And I know that right now, the current situation with President Biden is that the news outlets are telling us that many of the Democrats are asking him to bow out of the race for President of the United States and let someone else pick it up. But he is saying that he's going to stay in the race. And so I did in point of view, I did the topic, I dealt with the topic about power. Why is it that people will not bow out gracefully? When many people get a taste of power, many times that power absorbs them and it takes over them and they don't want to let it go. And then there's also one saying that if whatever is in you, they say there is a quote that says power corrupts. But one thing about it, if there's corruption in you, that power will bring it to the forefront. I guarantee. And so when some people get in powerful positions, whatever is in them, good or bad, it comes to the surface as the power increases. And so that is really a troublesome thing. On the other hand, when the power is a corruptible power, is corrupted. It's a good thing if the person is not corrupt, but I know they have to make sacrifices. I know they have to compromise because people don't understand that just because a person is elected uh, president or elected to the Senate or to the House of Representatives, that they can just go in there and they say, well, I'm going to make sure this happens. If you just elect me, I'm going to make sure that that happens. If you just elect me. And then when they get in there, they find out that they have to do some compromising in order to get things, something, if they have a law that won't pass, they have to compromise with the others, and they have to work things out. So it's not as easy as people think it is. So at this, Dr. Mack is back, and are you
Well,
working on your camera, Dr. Mack? Are you going to go ahead and talk? You can go ahead and
well, we're still
continue.
we're still having a bit of camera trouble here. So
Try turning on the camera again. Nope.
Okay,
You just turn it off. Turn it back on.
okay, yeah.
okay, all right.
It's gonna keep. I don't know, Mom. It's losing power.
But I can still hear you. Uh-oh, look like you froze right there.
Without the camera. the most part.
Okay, yes, I can hear.
Unless you want to turn the whole machine off and start it all over again.
I'm sorry. We were talking for president. We'll go with it.
I hear you. Mhm.
The point was that we have these qualifications, but would they be the same if the situation were different? Can you hear me now?
Right. Oh, yes.
Yeah, my point was okay. You know it and I know it. I mean, even the reporters mentioned a few weeks ago that our current president. So we're wondering if they're like, boosting the skin, to make it so it doesn't look as pale as it is. But the whole point, if you, I mean, in the state of Texas, you don't vote, unless you're registered. Then when you go to your place of voting, you have to have ID. So if you are an immigrant or an illegal person, you still can't, cast that. Is a visual ID. That's the, we have to present, even if you have your voter registration,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to bring out that driver's license or that what's called state ID, but you're going to a passport
Right.
with that on it, and that's part of the age requirements. But for the presidency of the United States, Constitution did not say that there was a certain number of years that he could stay in there. What you have is the age that he can start, just with, very much like the persons in the House of Representatives and the Senate. Doesn't say how long you can stay.
Mm-hmm.
Does not say it. But our media's role in this is messing it up. If you don't
Yes.
look like the current top Hollywood star, then you are not acceptable. Even though you may have brains out the yin yang,
Right. And so she's having camera problems, but she will come back in when she can get a chance. And I don't want you to give up, Dr. Mack. Don't give up. Okay, now you're okay. Your mic is
that was
back
the
on
end of
now.
my comment on ageism.
Okay.
I'm done. That was it.
Okay, and yes, and so it does tell us that the president can only serve 2 terms,
Right.
and those terms are 4 years each. And then the thing, we're going to go into the Senate and the House of Representatives after you do your comments on the presidency and the ageism, because that's what we're talking about today too, which is very good.
Okay.
And so, okay, go right ahead. Okay, okay, Dr. Matt.
Oh, I'm sorry. You wanted me to make additional comments?
If you want to,
Okay, my camera. I'm not doing anything to it at this point, but it's going
okay.
to his reality. Let's call it a good boy kind of politics.
For some reason, you're going in and out, and so now I can't hear
You
you.
can't hear.
I can hear
I
you
can
now when you said that. Okay,
I
you're
was
going
just
in and out, but please don't give up. Uh,
trying to figure out what's wrong.
yeah, because you do well on your.
Yeah, it is. Normally it doesn't, but it is. But I
Yes.
just let's don't look at the physical outside. Let's look at how well they would be in all situations, domestic and foreign, and let's just look at that.
Okay, go right ahead.
Those were Thank you. Well, I'm
Oh,
done.
oh, okay. So, on your ageism, you're talking about, okay, and I feel like I'm going to say this, that they should bow, both should bow out gracefully. But like I was saying, there is something about power that takes a hold of people, many people, in many cases, and they just don't want to give up that power, the powerful position. And I did want to go into this right here. I had some information on last night's. I watched last night of the Republican convention. As a matter of fact, I was watching it, then I dozed off. I was watching it before 10, and I dozed off and woke up a little before 11, and I thought that maybe the convention had ended and the former president was, they were showing it again. But then he had not finished his speech. He talked 92 minutes.
Wow. Wow.
92 minutes. And so they always do they check facts. They fact check. So
Yes.
I looked up about the fact checks, and I think he had around 20 false, 20
What?
unclear things that he said. And you know when he's talking that he's not telling the truth all the time. But I like to make sure that I have my facts straight. So I looked it up, and let me find it here. I think it was about 20 things they checked that he said that were not true, or they needed more information on that. So uh, I will come back to that because right now I'm not seeing it in here, so I'll have to go and pull that page up again. But then also, go ahead. You were saying something?
No, I wasn't.
Okay, so did you get to watch the speech last night?
I chose not to. I am sorry.
You don't have to be sorry.
How
That's
many
your choice.
as he goes along. Believe your lying eyes and ears. Don't believe them. I
Mhm.
didn't say that. And you're saying, okay, but you did. And as I'm pretty sure as you were looking at the facts that were being checked, you were going, I remember that. I remember that or did that.
Yes, and another thing, I think they should take the fanatics out of it. And we see things, and we know that that's just a little bit too much dramatization. And there's no way in the world that, anyway, let me let that alone. Anyway, uh, let that, my God. Anyway, I want to talk about the fact check. They said he closed out the final night of the 2024 Republican National Convention with a 92-minute speech that addressed a host of issues on Americans' minds. The economy under the Trump and Biden administrations, events in the Middle East, and immigration were just some of the topics the official GOP nominee addressed as he made his case to voters. And the thing is that it really puzzles me. And I know it happens, and it's been happening ever since the world has been here, since sin came into the world. But I just still don't get how people know that a person is not being truthful and yet just yell and go right on with them, just like it's the truth. But okay, we can't be ourselves if we don't bring in this. Then the last days, people will believe the truth, the lie, before they'll believe the truth. They would rather hear things that are not true. They do all of that, and these are the things that are happening. So the ABC News politics team, 538, and the PolitiFact team analyzes comments to separate fact from fiction. And now I'm going to say we're going to do this also when President Biden does his, or whoever the candidate is on the Democratic Party. We're going to do this for him. So we're not just, putting this out here on one person. We are going to cover it all. So the immigration, talking about the border crossing, this is a fact check. Border crossings, he claimed. Well, as a matter of fact, it argued there was a massive invasion at our southern border that has spread misery, crime, poverty, disease, and destruction to communities all across the land. What is the fact check? What is this is false. There is no evidence of a major surge in crime caused by recent arrivals, and his claims ignore the fact that crime is down across the country overall. So that was one of the things, and I don't understand it. People know this is not true, and they just yell and scream just like it is the truth and nothing but the truth. So, and then it also gives us the stats that violent crimes were down 6% in the fourth quarter of 2023 compared to the same time frame last year, according to the latest FBI statistics. And there was a 13% decline in murders and a 4% drop in property crimes across the country, stats show. So U.S. citizens also commit crimes at higher rates than undocumented immigrants. So I'm not going to go through all of that. The border wall, then he talked about the border wall. He said he would end the immigration crisis by closing our border and finishing the wall, most of which I have already built. Fact check, false. Contrary to his claim that he built more than 500 miles of border wall, by the end of his term and after various funding fights in Washington, he had actually implemented roughly 450 miles of barriers, much of which was just upgrading existing barriers that already existed, according to the Government Accountability Office. So, Dr. Mack, I'm going to stop right here at this, and then I'll come back later. But I just wanted to do some fact checks. And so, since your camera is working great and your mic is on, I want you to go ahead and come on in. Uh-oh, what's going on? I don't, wait a Can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, I know
I
you
did.
can.
Yeah, I sat in a political science class years ago.
Uh-huh.
In science, what's the definition of truth? Truth is what is
Okay.
believed by the majority of the people at a given time. That's the definition that we worked with truth, and it's the one I continue to live by. What is believed by the
Mm-hmm.
majority of the people. Thus, the answer for the applause and adulations, because for them that is their truth. and we really stand on our truth, and we don't go with those facts that you are talking about. And response to that one, but I do understand, and I have problems. I'm concerned about the younger generation because they've not been around long enough. You know, you're voting at 18. Um, you haven't lived enough to know, quote unquote, what is.
I don't understand why
I
this is
don't know,
happening today.
but it's bad regarding all of that. Every time I see it, it shocks me. But it is what it is.
Okay, the sound is still going in and out.
Well, we're some.
Still going in. I heard you say what were some, and it cut out.
Challenged you.
Okay. Now, I heard you say what were some. Oh, your camera went off again. Uh, do you think if you just turn the leave the mic on and turn the camera off, it might communicate better? Now, would you let me see if I can hear you, please?
Can you hear me at all now?
Oh, yes, I can.
Okay. The camera is off. Mic is on.
Okay, right, and I hear you. So, did you have something else to say? Because some of your sentences were fragmented. And I know you talked about truth, and you were saying, what the majority believes is the truth for that time. That's what you were saying. So, if you could go back and start there, please. Okay, I hear you, but you're not loud now. I don't know the microphone. I can't. I hear you talking, but I can't understand because it's so low. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out and then see if that'll help some because I can't hear you. But I will go ahead and do some more of these facts, the fact check because I can't hear you. But when would you please check in with me? And when I hear you, I will come back to you. So please don't give up because we know this is pure technical difficulty today. And I don't know whether it has something to do with the Microsoft a problem that's going on. It could have something to do with that too. So we're asking everybody to just bear with us. And Dr. Mack is a very important part, as well as all the other ladies who are part of the Mothers Board Incorporated. So we are going to continue. So we talked about the fact check of the border wall. Then I'm going to go on and go and talk about another fact, undocumented immigration and crime. And he argued dangerous criminals are coming from prisons and jails. I heard him say that from mental institutions and insane asylums and terrorists at levels never seen before. And the fact check on this says that it needs context. He was likely referring to the latest statistics released by Immigration and Customs Enforcement. And then there's more on it, more shoot. Okay, I won't do that one. Now, the catch and release he talked about. He claimed while discussing the border and immigration, he said this administration ended all catch and release. The fact on that is, the fact check says that statement that he made is false and it needs more context. Though he attempted, though Trump attempted to end the catch and release practice under his presidency, migrants were more likely to be released through this process under Trump compared to Biden, according to the Libertarian Cato Institute. All right? So the Cato analysis found that Biden's immigration authorities released 48.6% of individuals apprehended at the border, while the Trump administration released 52.2% over roughly a 2 year period. So that statement that he made, the fact was checked and it was false. Next, talking about the economy. Trump's tax legislation while in office. He claimed, he has repeatedly claimed the tax legislation passed during his presidency that it was the largest tax cut ever. The fact check on that said it needs more explanation. It said Trump's tax cut was, in inflation adjusted dollars, the fourth largest since 1940. And as a percentage of GOP, it ranked seventh. He also said, people don't realize I brought taxes way down, and yet we took in more revenues the following year than we did when the tax rate was much higher. That's technically true, but misleading. This is according to the fact checkers. If you look at when the tax bill passed, it's not clear at all that an increase in tax receipts followed the bill's passage. Every year, the U.S. population grows, and except during a recession, the size of the economy grows too. So you'd expect receipts to be higher every year, all other things equal, said Benjamin R. Page, a senior fellow at the Urban Institute Brookings Institution Tax Policy Center, told PolitiFact previously. So if you look at when the tax bill passed, it's not clear at all that an increase in tax receipts followed the bill's passage. For the 3 months of fiscal 2018 prior to the tax cut, individual income tax collections rose by 10.8% over the equivalent period from 2017, but the rise for the 7 months after the tax cut was 6.7%. And then it goes on to talk more about that. And then he talked about the economy under him. Trump claimed, during his presidency, Trump said the U.S. had the best economy in the history of our country. No inflation and soaring incomes. The fact check came up with this, that it is false. One of the strongest ways to assess the economy is the unemployment rate, which fell during his presidency to levels untouched in 5 decades. But his successor, Joe Biden, matched or exceeded those levels. Another measure, the annual increases in gross domestic product were broadly similar under Trump to what they were during the final 6 years under his predecessor, Obama, and GOP growth under Trump was well below that of previous presidents. My goodness. That was false, what he said. Then the state of the auto industry. He claimed, he said he would reverse government regulations to encourage the development of electric vehicles, saying he'd be saving the U.S. auto industry from complete obliteration, which is happening right now. Now, the fact check says that that is false. During Biden's presidency, unemployment in auto and parts manufacturing had risen by 127,800 jobs through December of 2023. And the PolitiFacts, Aaron Shirachman. And then I'm going to go back and check and see if Dr. Mack is still with me. Dr. Mack, can you hear me? I can't hear her, but she is still present with us. But the technical problems are going to be solved. We're claiming that by our next broadcast, which is going to be, God willing, on next Friday, which I think is the 26th, I believe, I'm not sure, but it's next Friday. So I'm trying to keep up with my time here. Let me look at my time. I have 11 minutes here. So I talked about the fact checking, and there was something else I want to talk about, the terms. Some people have been in the Senate, some people have been in the House of Representatives for years, for decades. And I feel like that's the same thing, talking about the power. I think they should bow out gracefully and give some younger people a chance. Because to me, it seems that the same old, what is that saying they have, the same old soup warmed over, and all the inner fighting, the bickering, and all of that is just absolutely terrible. Instead of considering us and trying to work peaceful solutions out, do things in a, I say, a dignified manner. It's so much infighting. It just makes no sense. And here we are, they are our employees, but they treat us, it seems like that we are their subjects. But we voted them in to represent us and do the best thing for us. But it seems that the things that are best for us are not always getting done because of all of the infighting, all of the bickering. Is just pathetic. And so, what I feel like, the house needs to be aired out and cleaned out. And we need a good old cleaning out and put some new blood in there. But much of that old blood will not give up. And people vote, I think, many times out of habit. Okay, this one's been in there so long, so I don't see anything wrong with her. So I'll just go ahead and vote for her or him. I'll just go ahead and vote for him. He's been in there, even though things that could and should be done for us are not getting done because there's so much infighting. They're fighting and bickering with one another, and it just makes no sense to me, but that is what's happening. So that's what I wanted to talk about. And so the terms, like them, some are 2 years. I think some terms might be 3 years, and some are six. But I'm telling you, something needs to be done. We need a house cleaning on both sides. We need a house cleaning. I really believe that, and then we will be better represented. And then there will be more work done. I really believe that. And I say this in layman's terms. I'm not going to try to use those big old words and all of that. But we need the house cleaned. Okay? We need to do some house cleaning. And then I'm going back to this, the voting. for the presidency or for the Senate, for the House of Representatives, for whatever it is, the offices, mayors, and different elected officials. When we do vote and we're successful in electing the candidate of our choice, that is not the time to relax. It seems that once the candidate is in there, then people just relax, they kick back, and they don't keep up the enthusiasm that they had when they voted to put them in the office. And then when the next election comes around, then many times that candidate that we were successful in getting in by using our voting privileges is now out of office because the enthusiasm has just kind of hunkered down and we didn't do the job that we did in the first place to get that person in there for us. So, Dr. Mack, I hear some movement. Oh, I can't hear you. I regret that. I really do. I really do because you have so much to say. You have so much to say. So, but you'll get a chance on the next show, which will be on Friday. And I always say, God willing, because we don't know what could happen between now and then. And it doesn't have to be anything with us. It could be technical problems, just like we're having today. It could be that. So we just don't know. But God willing, we'll be back on next Friday. And Lady C, Lady L, Lady G, and Overseer D. Hopefully, we'll be able to be with us on that day. And Dr. Mack, I'm sure that her technical problems will be resolved. I'm sure of that. Okay. So I have so much else to talk about, but I just want to, in the debut show, I wanted to give an example of what is coming. We have ladies who are educated in these fields, by study, by experience, just by living. They know, they've seen, and they can talk the real politics. They can talk the current events. Okay? So you're looking forward to another wonderful show, the Mother's Board Inc. And this is Miss Shirley Polk, aka Shirley Polk Davis, signing off. Thank you so much for joining me today. And I've allotted 1 hour from 1 p.m. until 2 p.m. for the Mother's Board Inc. And so, God willing, we'll see you next Friday for show number 2. And I want to invite you tomorrow evening at 7:39 for Greater Gospel Temple and Inspiration of God Ministries Saturday evening Bible lesson session, and Sunday morning for Greater Gospel Temple and Inspiration of God Ministries Manna from Heaven. And then next week, Tuesday and Thursday at 1 p.m. is Point of View with Miss Shirley Polk. I love you so much. And I want you to ask you again to remember the families that are grieving right now. And there will be 2 funerals tomorrow of people that we know very well. So I'm asking you to continue to pray for strength, for comfort for the families. I love you. See you next week for the Mother's Board Inc. I love you so much. Enjoy the remainder of your day, evening, night. Please let me hear from you. Morning, afternoon, whichever it is. Take care.